I am so excited about this Real Good Farmer's Grocery Box. This is the list of all of the stuff that was in it, but you can see all of what was in it over here, plus all these cool add-ons that you can get. Do you know you can get Bang Bang Pie delivered to your house with these beautiful ingredients? So what I like so much about it is that these are the farms that we work with. People like Klug and Spence Farm and Nichols Produce and these just amazing places that make our food so good in our restaurants. And now with this box, you can have it delivered to your house. So it's sort of like a CSA, but it's like the coolest CSA ever because it's little bits and pieces from so many different farms. So I'm going to show you. I just got this box and I'm going to show you what I'm making with my first pull from the box here. I've got some roasting going on over here. These are those gorgeous Mighty Vine tomatoes, which I just absolutely love. And so I'm doing a quick roast of them, a little bit of onion, slices of onion here and some garlic over there. This is my fast way of roasting, just you probably want to do this in a cast iron skillet or in a nonstick pan. But I'm getting those roasted nicely over there. And now I'm going to make a kind of a hash. We're on our way to making a kind of, let's call it a stacked enchilada from these beautiful ingredients. I know a lot of times when people go to the farmer's market, they ask me questions about like, what could you do with these different things? And mostly people think about, oh, you just put it in pasta or something sort of benign like that. That's some onion that came here. This is an organic onion. And I put it in with a little bit of olive oil. And now I'm going to add to that some of these Klug Farm apples and some of these Nichols sweet potatoes. So I'm using a technique here to do the sweet potato where I don't really peel it completely, but I cut it up into sort of flatten the edges, I'll call it that, and then slice it and then split it that way. Some of the pieces will have some of the skin on them and some of them won't, but I think that actually for what I'm doing right now is going to be enough. So I'm going to scoop this up and throw it over into the skillet with the browning onion, and then that's a little bit on the high side, so I'm going to turn it down just a little bit there. We do all kinds of composting here at our restaurant, so I'm going to throw that into with the compost, set that over there. And then I'll take one of these pieces of apple here and cut that up. I'm going to take the core out of it like that. And then I'm going to leave the skin on it and cut it up into smallish pieces that are about the same size as those pieces of sweet potato. There we go. And then those go into the compost there. And this goes over here, and that'll just cook while we're making our sauce here for the beautiful enchiladas. Now, the nice thing about living in Chicago is we have Mighty Vine tomatoes. I'll tell you, that is just one of the greatest things that's ever happened here, because they aren't like most of the hothouse tomatoes. They have just so much flavor to them. I just love the flavor of them. So I'm going to put these roasted tomatoes now into the blender jar. I'm not going to worry about these little sticky parts here because we're going to actually deglaze this pan with this sauce. And now we've got to go talk about the onion and the garlic here. I put the garlic in first actually because it takes the most time to roast, and then I just slice a couple pieces of onion and lay them. This is all done in a dry pan. There's no oil in there at all. Stir around this beautiful looking, I'm calling it a kind of hash, but I love the flavor of apples with sweet potatoes and well-cooked onions that are so sweet and beautiful. So that is cooking away nicely here. And then what I'm going to do with the garlic, which I roasted in its papery skin, is I am going to peel off that skin We'll get rid of that. And then put the clove, which is soft. When you're roasting garlic this way, this is a classic Mexican way to do it, it's got to be soft, like you can twist it between your hands like that, and it doesn't feel hard at all on the inside. So get rid of that, and then we'll just make a puree out of this mixture here. Oh, but one more thing. So when I'm thinking a lot about this beautiful mixture over here, the sweetness of the sweet potato and the apple and the onion, I'm going to want to use a chili in here that's also sort of sweet and smoky. So I'm putting into the blender jar canned chipotle. This didn't come in my box. This is one of my little add-ins here. And so I'm going to put one of these chipotles in there. You'll figure out what's the right heat for you. You might want to start with just 1/2 of one of those things and go up from there. But it also depends on how much sauce you're making. I'm just making a little bit to show you how you do this now. Okay, so I'm going to turn that guy on, and I want to make it kind of like a puree now. So, but I want a little bit of texture to it. I don't want it to seem like tomato sauce that's in a can or anything like that. So now, what do we have? What's the flavor of this going to be like? Sure, you could start with a can of tomatoes, but man, you smell this and it's amazing. The roasting of the tomato brings out sweetness and adds sort of depth and complexity with a little bit of char that was on there. And then I'm going to clean this guy up just a little bit here. Get some of those last little bits of the tomato skin that's stuck there. There we go. And now I'll just dump that over into my compost bowl there. And then take a little oil here to film the bottom of this pan. I'm going to turn this guy now to a kind of higher temperature. And then when it gets hot, I'm going to add the puree and just kind of cook it down a little bit. There, I think this stuff is doing nicely. I just got to make sure that that sweet potato is tender now. So I'm going to just take one little piece of it out like that and try it. It's just tender now. So I think I'm going to turn this guy off and just let that sit in the hot pan until we're ready to use it. Let's go over here and see if not quite hot yet. I'm just going to put, what I want to hear is a sort of a crackle. I hear a little bit of a crackle, but not too much. Make sure that I've got my temperature on right here and the right one off. Okay, I've got everything done. I turned the wrong pan on, so I turned this one up higher and this one off completely. Now we're getting to hear that sizzle going there. So I'll put this mixture in, and we're going to let that cook down. This is a technique that's used a lot in the Mexican kitchen to concentrate flavors and to add this unified flavor that you can't get any other way. That's going to be my sauce base for this enchiladas. It's a wonderful enchilada sauce. Roasted tomatoes, garlic, onion, and a little bit of chipotle chili. I'm going to grab a little bit of water in here because I want this to thin it to the right consistency. You could do it with stock if you wanted to, but you don't have to use stock in this. You can see we're sort of headed now in a very, so we say, vegetarian way. I guess it depends on how you define your vegetarianism. And I'm going to only make this with 2 tortillas. I'm using the ones from local tortilleria that we've used to make our masa for our tortillas in our restaurant for over 33 years now, El Popo. They're located on the south side of Chicago, and I think that they make really, really good tortillas. Again, that didn't come in my box, but it's something that's very easily available and another local product. Maybe we'll get them to do some beautiful tortillas from El Popo. So what I'm going to do here is to very quickly soften the tortilla This pan was, by the way, heating already. So I'm going to soften these guys with just a little bit of oil in this pan. You notice when they start to bubble up, that means that they're going to be nice and soft now. So I'm going to put that down there and then do another one here. And the one thing about getting all of these beautiful vegetables, see how it's puffing there? See, get all these vegetables in this box is it makes you super excited about working with the vegetables. Now let's look in this skillet now, and you can see that it's reduced now to the consistency of like a tomato paste here. And I think that that is giving us what we need there. I'll take the water that I have here and just thin it out a little bit. And now we're going to let that simmer until, just turn it way down, and we'll let that simmer until we're ready to use it now. This is one of my favorite go-to sauces. You could make it with a can of the fire roasted tomatoes from the grocery store, but hey, when you've got those wonderful fresh tomatoes from Mighty Vine, might as well use them, right? Okay, so see how beautiful that is? That's a gorgeous looking sauce right there. Okay, next thing that we're going to talk about is an egg, and I'm just going to do a sort of classic sunny side up egg, and I'll put it right over here in the same skillet where I had some. Okay, that's going to be a frizzled egg. I thought it was much lighter than that. I'm going to grab my salt here because I want to put the salt over the top of it as it's cooking. I'm going to do this sunny side up, just the way that it's typically done in Mexico. And then I'll give a little bit of salt here to the sauce mixture, and another little bit of salt here to our sweet potato and apple hash there. Okay, so for building this guy, I'm going to start with one tortilla on the bottom, and then some of our hash here as the sort of filling for it. So I'm doing this stacked style like you would find in New Mexico a lot. They don't really do this much in Mexico, but they do it in New Mexico, and I think it's a great way to eat. Okay, so that goes there. And then we'll put our second tortilla. You've noticed that I've just patted them dry on the paper towels there. And we'll get rid of that guy. And now we're ready for the soup. The sauce, excuse me. So we'll spoon fresh tomato sauce all around here. You could put some over the hash if you wanted to. I don't think you really need to. And what I got in the box was some sheep's milk feta from Wisconsin. So I am going to be using that as one of my garnishing ingredients here. This guy doesn't want to be picked up easily. So this we would call a frizzled egg because it went into a hot pan. So it's going to be frizzled all over the outside there. And this sheep's milk feta, now I haven't had this one before. So I'm going to give it a little taste first. And then I'm going to use it as a garnishing cheese the way that I would use queso fresco. Oh, it's nice. It's not too briny and too salty, so it's going to be absolutely perfect for this. It's going to be a little bit like a queso añejo from Mexico. And so I'm going to just use this sort of coarse microplane grater to grate it all over the top, like that. There you go. And then I've got a few leaves of cilantro that I'm just going to toss over the whole thing. And not only do you have pretty delicious little meal here, but you also are eating local supporting our local farmers. There couldn't be anything more important right now with all of the restaurants closed and closed until the end of June, they're telling us now. We got to buy from the local farmers because we buy so much from them, but we can't right now. So help us out. This is the people here at the Real Good Farmers Grocery Box. Order from them. They're supporting all the right people, and make something good with it. Thanks a lot for joining me.